Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is, your expat friend in China, John. And today, I'm going to be talking to y'all about the things that I dislike about being in China. I made a video a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people commented on it and viewed it. And there was a lot of things that people were saying, quite nice things. They said, oh, thanks for telling the truth about China. And people say, oh, I can relate to this and relate to that. There's also some other comments where people said some things like, oh, it's fake, and you just say all this good stuff and this kind of thing. So I'm gonna share with y'all the things that I dislike about living in China. Because we all know, no matter where you are in the globe, there's gonna be good things and bad things, right? There's gonna be things that are great and things that you wish could be better. And so I'm gonna share those things with y'all today. Now, the things that I'm going to share with you are just my own personal opinion. I can't speak for other people. So some of these things that bother me, it might not bother other people as much. Or it might bother other people more. I don't know. I can only speak for myself, and I can only represent myself in this. So that being said, I'll tell y'all about some of the things that I dislike about living in China. So one of the first things that I'll talk about will be, as far as working here goes, there's really a lack of stability, especially for us foreigners, because most of us working here, have like a 1, 2, or 3 year contract, right? And you never know what's going to happen when that contract ends. You know, you might fall in love with the city you're in, and after 1 year and your contract doesn't get renewed, then you have to pick up and leave and go to another city. And it makes things really complicated if you have to do that all the time, or if you have like a serious relationship and your wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, then now you have to consider their situation too. Do they have to move far away from family? Do they got to quit their job too and then go look for another job all over again? It's just really kind of a weird system and really lacking stability when it comes to working here. Now, also when it comes to working here, another thing that I dislike is really just the entire management style, the way things are done here. It could really improve a lot as far as the companies I've worked for anyway. I know people who work for foreign companies and they didn't have these kind of problems. So I think it might be a Chinese thing, like a cultural thing or something like that. In China, they have this thing about what they call like face. You know, you don't want somebody to lose face, especially your boss. If you make your boss lose face, it could be bad for you in the workplace. So a lot of times these places might have some problems that could easily be fixed by just stating what the problem is, right? Like, this is really inefficient. We can do things this way or do things that way, and things are run much smoother. But a lot of people won't say those things to the boss because they're afraid it'll make the boss lose face, and then now you're out of favor with the boss or something like that, right? So a lot of the problems, they will just keep going on and on and on forever, and nobody will fix it because nobody will say that it needs to be fixed. So this is kind of annoying, and it definitely causes some problems, I think, in the workplace. And then another thing I've experienced about working here that I dislike is oftentimes, like, a boss will give you a task to do. They'll say, like, do this or do that, right? And then you do it. And then once you hand over the documents or whatever to the boss that they asked for, then they're all of a sudden like, I didn't want it like this. I want it this way. So you're like, well, why didn't you tell me that first? You just said you want it. I did. I gave it to you. But now you want something different? Like, why didn't you just say that in the first place? And now you end up doing the same thing 2, 3, 4 times over and over and over because they don't tell you their expectation of what they really want. So it's really inefficient, and it could be much better. I don't know if they're just doing it just because you're at work and they don't have nothing for you to do and they want you to do more so you can get their money's worth out of you, or is it just a lack of not thinking to tell you to do things to this certain standard or something like that? I'm not sure what it is, but it's very annoying, and you'll grow tired of it really fast if you have to deal with that kind of thing, for sure. Another thing, not work related, another thing that I dislike is going to be like the whole banking system is, it's so complicated. Like, if you need to go to the bank, you might as well take a half day off work, if not a whole day, because you're going to be at the bank for a long time, right? For us foreigners, when you go to the bank here, you'll spend 2 hours minimum, if not 3 or 4 hours everything you do, there's like mountains of paperwork. You got to fill out all this stuff over and over and over and over. You got to show your passports and all kind of other documents. And then there'll be like 10 people trying to look at the documents, and it's like, it's really annoying and really complicated. Going to the bank here really sucks. So yeah, another thing on top of that, well, I say it's related to banking, and the way it will be like the internet, the way things are blocked on the internet, it makes it hard to deal with banking. Like if you have an online bank in your home country, and dealing with that from inside of China behind the Great Firewall can be complicated, because a lot of these like online banking things, they require, like, for one, they won't even let you have access if you're on a VPN, so your online banking is blocked from that. And they also ask for like text messages, and you can't use a foreign phone number. You need a phone number from your home country. So it can be quite complicated to handle online banking because of the Great Firewall. And it also makes it complicated to communicate with your family back home, because a lot of your family like won't have any of the Chinese applications or won't be able to navigate them. And so a lot of times the only way we can communicate with our family is using, the Western applications like the Facebook and things like that. And they're all blocked here in China. So it makes it complicated to communicate with your family sometimes. So that's another thing that can be quite annoying. Another thing, that bothers me, there's always like a certain amount of, I would say, I don't want to call it racism. I don't know if it's a prejudice or racism. I don't know how you would describe it, but it's like every single day for the past 13 years I've been here, there's at least one point in the day where I feel like a zoo animal. Like you go out somewhere and somebody will be walking, like it might be kids, it might be like old people, it's people in general. If they're with somebody, you'll often hear them or see them pointing at you, and they'll be like, look, there's a foreigner, look, there's a foreigner, and they like just point at you and just say these kind of things, which is not like, they're not saying anything bad. They just, basically say, look, there's a foreigner. So you just feel like some people like always like looking at you, where me, on the other hand, like I would prefer people just say something to me, like directly, just like, hi, where you from, right? Instead of just like pointing at me like I'm some kind of a zoo animal. As they point at me, look, there's the foreigners over there. Why don't you just say like hi, and say, where you come from, something like that. And I'm more than happy to answer the question or engage in the conversation with those people, instead of just being like pointed at and or talked about. Like, and I mean, I get it. Like a lot of people also maybe assume that you don't know the language, which is kind of, it's like, are you think I'm too stupid to learn it? Like, why don't you just say something to me to see, right? So it's quite annoying when you go out and people talk about you right in front of you, and they won't even say hi to you, right? It gets kind of annoying, gets under your skin a bit. It does me anyway. So that's definitely something you'll experience, especially if you learn the language, then you know that they're talking about you. So, you'll have to experience that and go through that. And during the COVID time too, I experienced, I would say, blatant racism. People was like, all the foreigners are sick, or something like that. They just like automatically assume you have COVID because you're from another country. Even though the borders were closed and people weren't coming in and out, they were still treating me in that kind of way. But that's done and over now. So now nobody's really, does stuff like that anymore. You just get the finger pointing and the foreigners are over there or something like that. So yeah, that thing's quite annoying. And then you also have the line cutters everywhere you go. You go to the supermarket, you go to the restaurant, or go this place, go that place. There's always somebody who wants to cut in line in front of you instead of lining up and waiting with everybody else. You go to the hospital, go to the bank, you go here, go there. There's always somebody who don't want to wait, and they just want to cut in front of you because, I don't know, their time's more important than yours, I guess. I don't know why they do it, why they can't just line up and wait. But you'll see that all the time. Everywhere you go, you'll see it. And, you can either be rude and say something, or just, let it go, blow it off and keep going, right? It's really the two options you got. And as a foreigner, I think it's best to just let it go. You don't want to engage in some kind of like, say something rude or something like that to people, because at the end of the day, you're representing where you come from. And if I get into an argument with somebody and they're like, all of a sudden now I make other American people look bad, right? So I just prefer not to even engage in those kind of things and just let it go and go on about my business. So, but you know, it does get under your skin. You have to deal with that a lot. Actually, this video is getting long. Tell you what, if you got something you want to hear about, let me know in the comments below, because I don't want to make this video too long for y'all. So if there's some other questions about some other things that you can think of, or ask me if I like these things or don't like these things, let me know and I'll try to make a video about it. And until then, watch these next videos and I'll see y'all next time.